Let us begin. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya tu vaidyakena yopakaruttam pravarang muninam patanjalim pranjaliranutosmi. Now, last time we discussed the Sutra 17, which says Drashti Dishayoho Sangyoga Hetuhu. That means the seer and the sin, their connection is the cause of sorrow. Because heya means what has to be shunned, that means this sorrow. So the main reason is that this and how this is happening now, this will be discussed. Before entering into discussion of the 18th sutra, we need to remember the this system of cosmic evolution in Sankhya. Sankhya is a very old system, and both the Buddhist and Jainas as well as Vedantists have borrowed from them because they are the earliest attempt at serious philosophizing. See, because we find the trace of Sankhya ideas in Chandogya Upanishad, which is not on this side of 600 BC. That means pre-Buddhic text. So even before that. So in Buddha's teaching itself and Buddha's way of presenting the philosophy, we find the influence of Sankhya. In Vedanta also it is there. In Jainism is also there. So it is very ancient and evolved over many, many centuries. And therefore in Sankhya, when such a thing evolves over centuries, there is evolution. That means the shift of ideas a little here and there, that is there. Now, taking into account all these things, we shall present, briefly how they are thinking of evolution. First of all, they are thinking of the universe as having two things original. One is the spirit, another is the matter. The matter means you're not in the sense of modern physics. Matter includes everything psychic also, because mind is matter. So that is the first thing. And though this Purusha, the spirit, is not directly involved in the evolution, but its presence is necessary for this evolution to happen. So the first evolute from this Prakriti is called Mahat. Mahat means it is the seed of the universe, but the universe has not been created as yet. So the blueprint of the whole thing is there in Mahat, the future evolutions. And from Mahat, the second your evolute is ahankara. That means it is not the individual ahankara, it is the cosmic egoity. It is the cosmic egoity. And from there, now we should remember that in Prakriti, original Prakriti, Sankhya, though they not, you see, they do not say very clearly that the gunas are matter, but for all practical purposes, they take it as very elemental matter. That means these three gunas, they're always there supporting one another, but you see, but each one has a different role also. They are originally in a state of equilibrium in Prakriti before evolution begins. The disturbance of this equilibrium is the beginning of evolution. So in subsequent all evolutes, these three things are there, these gunas. Whatever is you see is in the universe, physical or psychical universe, in everything, these three things are there. So from one side, after this ahankara, manas, and the indriyas, both jnanendriyas, sense organs, and karmendriyas, the organs of action, they are produced. On the other side, from this tamas element of Prakriti, these subtle elements come. They combine in a special way to produce gross elements. And so like that, the whole universe proceeds. And in this, both in this evolution process, there is some rajas or effort is necessary. So it is there in both these kinds of evolution. So this is your roughly the cosmology of Sankhya. Now, so 18th sutra says, Prakasha kriya sthiti shilam bhutendryatmakam bhogo apavargartham drishyam. Now, they have already said that this connection between this seer and the sin is the cause of sorrow. Now, the sin is being discussed. What is sin? Drishya. They are saying first, Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Shilam. That means whatever is there in this universe, there is these three things. That means Prakasha is that it is becoming evident. Kriya is some action, and Sthiti is inertia. See, that means Kriya, due to Kriya, there is change of state. There is one state, from that another state comes due to this Kriya. And inertia is there, which is blocking this movement. So in everything, these three things are there, and they are bhuta indiyatmakam. They are created matter, or they are Indias. And bhoga apavargartham. That means their rays of the ether is the bhoga. Bhoga means sukha and dukkha bhoga. See, you are enjoying or you are not enjoying. You are liking or you are not liking. You see, always it is happening when there is you have something, circumstances that are before you. It is like that. And much of your internal thing, you think that Drisha is outside of us. Not really. Because in Sankhya, your Antakarana is also the inner instrument, the Chitta also is a part of this sin. That means a part of the universe. And ultimately, they are made of the same material, you see, as the universe outside. Because all of them has come from Prakriti, if you remember. You see, mind itself has come from there, you see, from the cosmic egoity, etc. So that's why you can have some rapport, you see, that you have some rapport with the physical universe. You see, it is because your mind is of the same nature as the physical universe outside. And therefore your positive or negative enjoyment, bhoga, or apavarga. We shall discuss apavarga. The apavarga is almost, it is something like what in Vedanta will be called Jivan Mukti. Apavarga is almost like Jivan Mukti. We shall discuss exactly what is this apavarga. So, bhoga and apavarga means you are practically released. You see, Jivan Mukti. Now, whenever you know something, an object you are, for example, you are trying to know, so you are somewhat successful in knowing the object before you. So that is the you see the prakasha part, which brings you some satisfaction, that you want to know this object and you have some idea about the object. You see, that is prakasha. And kriya there is an effort of the mind in knowing this. So that is your, you see, knowing means, what is knowing? Knowing normally means you are classifying it. You are classifying it, no means etc. I say, you are classifying it and then going deeper and deeper into it. You see. So that is the effort, and there is also in the mind a kind of inertia, which you see, which prevents this your attempt. So there, you see, if you are able to know, that means this prakasha, the swatik thing, element, has dominated in the process, and that is prakasha. So in everything in the universe, these three things are there, these three gunas, which are being described as prakasha, kriya, and sthiti. And the whole universe, as the sutra says, is either created matter, bhuta, it may be subtle, it may be gross, bhuta, and the Indriyas. and they are either for bhoga and apavarga. Now, when you are thinking, I am happy, or I am unhappy, I am sick, I am successful, I am unsuccessful, all these things you say, or you think that you think of your profession, you say, I am a doctor, an engineer, a chartered accountant, etc. You think like that. Now, what is happening in this kind of thinking is that there is something within you that is thinking like that. And there is also something in you which is your um, to which this idea is being presented. Now, that means to whom it is presented. It is presented to a mixture within you between the Purusha and the Antakarana or Chitta. There is a combination between these two. To that, this is ideas are presented. I am happy, I am unhappy, I am sick, I am successful, I am unsuccessful, etc. Now, beyond that, there is another Purush which is solitary, which is not your connected with your buddhi. It is not, see. So that is, you see, when you are able to find that Purusha, then you are having apavarga. There is no bhoga then, neither positive nor negative. There is nothing. So that is your apavarga. Now, so that is that means the Drishya's goal, because the word used is bhoga apavargatham. That means the goal of Drishya is this, either to give you bhoga, positive or negative bhoga, which you are always having all the time in the wakeful state, and at one point we will also have apavarga, that we will see the Purusha who is not connected with that. It requires some, of course, effort in yoga to find that Purusha, this apavarga. Now, next sutra is your Vishesha, Abhishesha, Lingamatra, Alingani, Guna Paravani. Now, these gunas, which have evolved to create the whole universe in different forms, etc., they are in 4 stages. Vishesha is particular, Abhishesha is non-particular, and Lingamatra is only the indicator. Linga is the indicator. Lingamatra is only the indicator is there. And Alinga means without indicator. In these 4 stages, they are there. Now, this created matter and indriya, they are the particular state of this drishya. That means this evolute subgunas. Subtle matter and the inner instrument, antakarana, they are the non-particular state. Then the first evolute from Prakriti, we have said that it is Mahat and it is the seed of the universe. That is called this Lingamatra, that means that is the indicator that there is something beyond it also. And the Mahat is coming from the Prakriti, the basic Prakriti, so that has no indicator. It is beyond our imagination even, say, how the seed of the universe has come from that state. So there is no indicator of it, you see. Only at the stage of buddhi, that means Mahat, cosmic buddhi, we have this indication that there is something, you see, originator. But the originating Prakriti, with the help of Purusha, that is something there is no indicator for us. So these are the 4 stages. 20th Sutra, Drashta Drishimatraha Shuddhopi Pratyaya Anupashya. The seer, that is, its function is only seeing, and in its original form it is pure. Yet, so the word opi, yet it cannot be seen without pratyaya, that means a buddhi vritti. That means unless this is colored by buddhi, we do not have anything, you see, we cannot understand it, that there is something. Without being colored by buddhi vritti, that means the idea is the mind must apply itself to an object, and then only you understand that there is a seer. Otherwise, the seer, though it is present, it cannot be cognized. Now the next sutra is a great hope for us. It is saying, Tadartha eva dishyasya atma. That means the nature of drishya, this whole universe, nature is tadattheva, that means for that only, for Purusha only. That means though we are enjoying and suffering because of our mind is being applied to everything, and because of that, either you are enjoying or you are suffering. Though it is like that, ultimately, the whole of nature, the whole of this seen universe is there for releasing you. Tadattheva, because for the Purusha. That means, idea is that through all these things, this samsara, which is mainly, that means in the major part it is suffering, though there is enjoyment in it. So through all this suffering, you wake up to find that you are really being entangled, and you look to the Purusha, which is your real nature, the spirit. You have entangled yourself with the universe. That will come to you at a point, either in this life or other lives, you see. So that is the goal, you see. Though it is said that bhoga and apavarga, you see, but the final goal is this, that the whole of nature has no other purpose than finally to release you, to disentangle yourself. So that is a kind of your hope for us. Now, next sutra is your something. What will happen? For example, you have understood that you are the real Purusha. So you, through apavarga, you are finally released. You have this discrimination. So but what will happen to other souls? That is being discussed here. Kritartham prati nashtam opi anashtam tad anna sadharanatvat. That means, though Kritartham means one who has been released, who has through apavarga, through viveka, apavarga, etc., he has been released from the clutches of nature. So for him, this drishya, you see, is no cause of entanglement. But it is not, your drishya is not your lost for others. It is common to all others. You see. That means the Sankhya, this is one of the reasons why Sankhya philosophy says that there are many Purushas, because each person has, a Purusha. So that is the, so you are released, others are not being released. You see, when you are eating a meal, others are not. They are not being satiated. So it is something like that. So that is why Sankhya talks about many, many Purushas, though these Purushas are identical. But this Purusha is connected with, you see, with there is this big difference you find between Sankhya and Vedanta. This is the big difference between the Sankhya and the Vedanta. That means you see, these Purushas, many, many Purushas. So, then the next sutra is Swaswami Shakto Sarupa Upalabdhihetu Samyoga, which means that you are that means we have talked about the connection between Purusha and Prakriti. That is not like that you see in a construction, wood and metal, they are being placed together. It is not like that. There is this inert Prakriti, and there is this Purusha whose nature is Prakasha, that means your to make things reveal. There, you see, this Purusha and this Prakriti, they are being seen as seer and the sin, and this phenomenon is called connection. That means it is not like the ordinary, you see, that means not like ordinary. That means Drisha is the Buddhi, that means first connection between is Buddhi. So the question of that means this is connected with the 21st shloka, in which we have discussed that tadartha eva dishasya atma. That means the nature of the sin, that means of the universe, is for Prakriti, for Purusha, that means to conduct you towards Purusha. So this is related to that. That means this samyoga, this connection, is being defined as that you understand who is your real Lord. Swaswami Shakto Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu Samyoga. You understand, you see, this Samyoga, you see, that means as that. That means it is this shloka is connected with, you see, Samyoga is being defined like that. That is your That means the contact is the cause of the realization of the nature of both the powers, the experienced and its Lord. Uh, um, you are, because of this contact between the Drishya and the Drik, between the seer and the sin, you are having experiences which are joy and sorrow normally. And also, you are finally, you're having a release. You see the real Lord, that means the Purusha. Tasya hetur avidya. And ignorance is the cause of this samyoga. Ignorance, it has been said before that it is due to ignorance that this samyoga is there at all, because it is avidya. Hetur avidya. Avidya is, as they have defined, that previously they have defined this avidya. Avidya means you're taking things in the reverse way. Something which is finally will give you suffering, you take it as a source of pleasure. Something which is your not permanent and not eternal, you think that it is permanent and eternal. So all this is your avidya. That means your lack of real insight. Lack of real insight. So that's why you say that is all other kleshas are coming from it. You say asmita, raga, desha, etc. Asmita is this I amness. So that is tad abhavat samyaga abhavo hanang tadrishe kaivalyam. So tad abhavat, that means if this avidya is absent, there is absence of samyoga, then you will not be connected. You see, in spite of, you understand, you see, when Gita says, especially towards the end of the second chapter, Raga dvesa vayuktasti vishayan indriyescharan. You are moving in the world, you are having your this ordinary life, you see, you are taking or rejecting things, etc. But raga dvesha vayuktaistu. There is no, you see, the mind is not oscillating between liking and disliking. Raga dvesha vayuktaistu. So, you see, this is tad abhavat samyoga abhavo. Hanang tadrishe kaivalyam. Which is the thing to be avoided. That is the independence of this seer. Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam is from Kevala. Kevala means alone. So this aloneness of the seer, because our entanglement is due to the seer is being entangled with the sin. You see. And thereby you are thinking, you see, you are thinking that you have lost money, you have, you see, you have other things. You see, certain times you rejoice, you have obtained this, that, etc. You have progeny, you have wealth, you have, you see, praises heaped on you. You see, then you are happy. You see, when the reverse happens, you are unhappy. So it is due to this connection that it is happening. When that is absent, you are, you say that then the seer is alone. That means it is not glued to the Prakriti. It understands that it is alone. I remember, let's say, while going through these sutras, there was one Swami who was the president of our order. The second president of our order, Swami Shivananda. Now, once he was visiting our school in Deoghar, and he was staying there for a few days. One morning, the monks came to him and asked him that, did you have a good sleep? How are you keeping, etc.? He said that I am okay, though there is some problem of the body. So that is how he replied. And then he narrated that the last night he had tremendous difficulty due to asthma. And then he thought that, you see, his life would be finished. Then he said that suddenly I thought that there is something beyond this. You see, I am separate from the suffering of the body, so I remained there, and then everything was okay. You see. Then the monks said that, what is that? Where did you go and stay and you said that you are happy? He replied that that is the Atma, of which your books are talking about. You see. So, so that is it. That means tadabhavat sanjago abhavo hanan tadrishe kaivallam. That is this sanyoga has to be avoided. That is hana. Hana means to avoid, to be shunned. And when you are able to do that, then you have the kaivalya, this aloneness of the Purusha. The Purusha will understand that he was never connected with Prakriti, and thereby he is released. Viveka Khatir Abiplaba Hanupayo. Viveka Khyati. When the Viveka means separating. Separating what? Separating in our context, the Drik and the Drishya. Now, they are connected. This has to be separate. So Viveka Khyati, when this Viveka is paramount, is paramount within you. That means you are very strong in in separating the eternal from the non-eternal. As in the language of Kathopanishad, Kathopanishad is saying that something is pleasant and something is ultimately beneficial for you. These two things are presented to you. So the wise person, they separate it, they use the word, this viveka, and then the other persons who do not have this viveka, they suffer. So, and aviplava, this viplava, this plava is an Indo-European word. You have this, you see this French word, for example, pluie. Pluie. So plava means something which is floating, something which is not. You see, that's why revolution is called biplava. That means there's a kind of inundation, as if everything has been swept away. That's why it is called biplava. This plava, you see, you find the word in this French word pluie, for example, is cognate with this plava. So aviplava. So vivekhatir aviplava means it is not floating, it is very solid and remaining with you. That means it is a permanent your part of your mindset. Then that is the way for the destruction of what? Of the avidya, which is has been discussed in the. So Hanurupaya is vivekakyatir aviplava. It must be, you see, always strong, you see. Otherwise, it'll be caught here and there. It comes in various forms. For example, you have the desire for name and fame, and at the same time you are seeking the spiritual path. So it may come in the form of a project to you. You see, would you preside over these things, etc., etc., and you are happy and you become entangled because your mind is not yet prepared. So, at all points, the viveka, the discrimination between what is eternal and what is non-eternal must be there if you have a spiritual goal. Otherwise, you are going round and round, as the Upanishad said, Dandharma mana pariyanti mudha. You go round and round because you are deluded. Tasya saptadha pranta bhumi pragyam. His knowledge is of the sevenfold highest ground. That means pranta bhumi, that means when you are gaining spiritual knowledge, that gaining is you have passed through stages. So these stages, they are saying that this is sevenfold. And what is this sevenfold? Pragya, they're saying that there are 7 stages of this prajna. That means the Viveka Khati. That means that finally that Prakriti and Purusha, they are separate thing. As the seen and the seer, they are separate things. Is your first is they call it release from action, Karya Vimukti. Now, Karya Vimukti, that means at one stage of your spiritual journey, you think that many things are to be known. And finally, you come to a point that there is no other thing to be known. You have known everything. Everything means, as the Upanishad says, that knowing what, you come to a state that everything is known. They are giving the example in the Upanishad that you go to a potter and he has different things for you. Say a toy, a pot, and various a cup. Now, when you know clay itself, these are all fabricated from clay, so you know all these things. That is the idea. So there comes to a stage that when you do not require any information more. Whatever information is necessary, you have it. Then there is another stage, whether it is raga, dvesha, you think, you understand, you feel that this raga, dvesha, they are not so much glued to you. You are not strongly liking anything, you are not strongly disliking anything, because you find that they're all pertaining to non-eternal things. So that stage. Third, whatever has to be obtained, I have obtained. You see, as the Gita says, Yang gatva jang labdva chaparang labhang manyate nadhikang tata. Getting that thing, you do not think any other thing to be covetable. You see. So, first, then this Drik, that means the seer, and the scene, they always used to say to be glued. Now it is not like that. You understand that it is this is a drishya, and your Drik, you see, you are always So this is called Karya Vimukti. That means you are released from this effect. Karya is the effect. Is the effect of this sanyoga between your Purusha and Prakriti. So this effect, you are released from this effect. So this is called Karya Vimukti. Then you come to another stage that I used to feel happiness or unhappiness. That means my buddhi is to be colored by this thought that I am happy or I am unhappy, etc. Now it is not happening. Then you come also to a stage when you think that your antakarana, the inner instrument, has become like a fried seed. When you fry a seed, you see, with oil, etc., or you boil a seed, that seed will not give any sprout afterwards. So you feel that you have become like this, you see. Then you come to a stage when finally, when your chitta, the antakaran, is not there at all. You see, that means it is a kind of samadhi, which in Vedanta is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. There is no mind at that time. You come to that stage. So these are the 7, you see, stages. It is nothing but, you see, nothing but depicting the spiritual journey. You see, each person, you see, if you, a bhakta, for example, like St. John of the Cross, he was a bhakta, a man of devotion. So he describes paths, how the mind goes from stage to stage, etc. So here it is another path. Here it is the path of your introspection. It is a path of that means whose principal tool is your concentration. But this concentration cannot be had without Kriya Yoga. You cannot, you require this, your a little study to understand the essential things, and Ishvara Pranidhana, that means your life, everything you are offering to God, and a little your what we'll call austerities, Austerities means tapas, in the sense of tapas. Austerity is not a good term to describe what is tapas. Tapas, as we have described last time, that it is, you can understand fully when you go through the 4 shlokas ending with 17 shloka of 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. You see, if you understand these 4 shlokas, then you have the idea of the tapas. Tapas, a little reading of the scriptures, the fundamental things, and then with that, Ishvara Pradhana. Through that, you must gather the capacity to concentrate correctly and fruitfully. Yes. So, let us end here. If you have any question, you can ask.
Pranam Maharaj. Maharaj Devjyoti here.
Yeah.
Maharaj, you spoke about inertia. That state comes from the gunas. Is that right, Maharaj? Did I understand it correct?
Inertia, yes, but don't confuse with gunas as they are understood in Vedanta. Here we are discussing Sankhya, and in Sankhya, gunas are almost the elemental matter. Say elemental matter which is there in equilibrium from, that is gunas. But they have some similarity, the Vedanta's gunas and Sankhya's gunas, in the sense that the effect of these gunas on the human mind is the same. And say, we understand that what is Sattva, what is Rajas. Sattva is the calmness, the serenity, say, and that is Sattva. Rajas is the excitation, say, is propulsion, etc. And tamas is the inertia, this slothfulness, etc. That is your tamas. So that is Vedanta. Here, the Sankhya, they think of, you see, that it is an elemental matter which is there in all parts of the evolute. So either Bhuta or India, everything is in there. Created matter or the Indias, everywhere they are there because they have come from this Prakriti, which is itself composed of these 3 elemental things. That is the Sankhya. So, you say.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Any other question?
Swamiji, can you just explain once more Mahat, the concept of Mahat?
Mahat is called Mahat. Mahat normally means great. It is great because it is a blueprint of the universe. It is something like, for example, if you take the seed of the Asiatic tree Vata. Vata is a huge tree, but its seed is very tiny. In that seed, the whole blueprint is there of this tree. So Mahat is like that. Universe has not yet evolved, and it is the first evolute, Mahat. That's why it has been called the indicator, the Lingamatra, the indicator only. So, and in that, the whole blueprint is there. Whatever will happen, etc., in the universe, everything is there in the Mahat. You see, the philosophers have to think like that because say if you, even in physics, for example, they talk about this this Big Bang. And now, in the thing which exploded and which is called Big Bang, there must be everything in the universe. You see, these goats, the mangoes, the apples, everything were there in that material. You see, so it is like that. You see, it is the philosophers have to think about these things. Of course, Vedanta in its most mature form, we say that nothing has happened. There has not been any creation. It is all this Maya, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a your Maya. This is a power, cosmic power, you see, which this Atman has got or Parabrahman has got, and because of that, you are seeing the snake and not the rope. You see.
Thank
So,
you.
So that is, you see, that is that there has been no creation really. It is a reality. Creation is a reality. They call it your Bhavahara. That is the word they use in Vedanta, Vyavahara. And then this Bhavaharik Satya, that means phenomenal truth, and Paramarthik Satya, that means spiritual truth. In the spiritual truth, this is not there. The universe, the sun, the moon, etc., is there, but they are only in Maya. See, when the mind is tremendously concentrated, they vanish.
So, what is the opposite of Vyavahara?
Vyavahara is this Satya, this Paramarthik Satya.
Paramarthik. Yeah.
Paramarthika Satya and Vyavaharika Satya.
Yes. So Vyavaharik is also transactional. Is that correct? Transactional, the transactional world.
That is the Vyavahara, that is your Vyavahara, that is your ordinary meaning. But here, that means this phenomenal existence. With that, you do this Vyavahara, that means you are eating, you are drinking, you are rebuking, you are praising, you see. All things are in Vyavahara, it is happening.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay. Namaste.
Pranam, Swami.
Namaste.
Pranam Maharaj.
Yes, namaste.